But this is chapter two. So this is a part of that head book where the author 100% knows where every character is. But doing these little things as very organic reminders to the reader doesn't hurt the story to say, and his father, well, Kristoff was Kristoff.
Yeah.
Because if you don't want me to feel this, you're going to want to fix this. But it's a huge, massive bombshell that just gets glossed over. I pretty much think these are all just missed opportunities.
Yeah.
Because I doubt many readers will be pulled out by the stuff that we were talking about. These are just, wow, if you put this in, look at how much harder this hits.
Exactly.
Releasing your inner dragon. So while Marie is pulling everything up, and yeah, she had a little house finagling problem, so she doesn't have her background. She got a nice big white wall in the background instead of her pretty little forest scene. But as always, because we feel like we have to do this, we're going to go through and critique this, and we're going to say things that we feel are fact, but everything we're talking about is subjective. And because the definition of subjective seems to have become subjective, it means that you're right, whatever you feel. There is no wrong. So if we say we believe this, we're right. And if you go, I think you're wrong, you're right. That's the point of subjectivity. But we're going to go through and we're going to talk about how we kind of feel could be, things that we feel could be done to this piece to improve it, to make it more immersive, to make it, better written, again, based on our subjective opinions. So just keep that in mind. If you would like to have something critique live, because we do this once or twice a month, send us something to releasingyourinnerdragon at gmail.com. It's in the link below and it'll go on the list. We have gotten to the point where we have way more submissions than we will ever be able to get to. So we kind of, I don't even know how we do it. Marie does it. I think we do it randomly, but whatever. I'm just here for the ride. But we also do another thing called first page reads, which we haven't done this year. So if you would like to do the first page read, that's a little different. What we do is we try to show you how the industry thinks. So we take the role of the industry and we try to show you where the industry would reject it probably. And again, it's subjective, but we're guessing where it would be and kind of why so that you can understand how they think. So if you want to be a part of that, we need your first page and make sure you write in the email, this is for first page reads. Otherwise, we're going to assume it is for live critiquing. And on live critiquing, don't really send us any more than 1,000 words. We don't always get to the end of the 1,000 words. We usually have a
Yeah.
lot to say about
Like
things.
this one's 1/8. We're definitely not going to reach the end.
Yeah, 1,800. No, no.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Victor, oh, just one other thing. Please, if you can send it in a Word doc format, not Google Docs, not PDF, please. I take text files over PDF files. Yeah. Jam it in a text file if you need to, if you don't have Word, or download LibreOffice. It's free and you can send me a Word doc from that.
So you're nicer than me. Technically, we have enough submissions that we can just use Word. So just
I know,
know
but I'm
anything else
not
that you
picky.
send us, well, but anything else you send us is more work on our part, and we're already doing a lot in this. So send
So,
it in Word.
LibreOffice is free to download and it
Right.
generates exactly Word docs. So
Right.
use that.
That's what I mean. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what I mean. You can go ahead and
yeah,
download LibreOffice, convert it to Word, send us the Word document.
yeah,
I think I think we're at least worth that. We're at
yeah.
least worth your time to send us a document in the file format that we would like to have it in for us to do this. So,
All right. Victor loathed his world, a maze of hollow smiles and honed words that dripped like honey but held a venomous edge, sheathed with deadly compassion. It was a suffocating milieu he'd learned to thrive in. He longed for tomorrow, when this diplomatic masquerade would finally conclude, returning him from Washington to the simpler chaos of his university life. He lifted his gaze from his phone to find Christoph hovering, irresolute, at the library doorway. Would you care to join me for dinner? Christoph ventured at last. His father's halting attempts at friendship, carefully staged smiles and anxious glances, stirred a familiar, suppressed irritation. Christoph had shown little interest in fatherhood until Adele's appointment, And now this hollow camaraderie was yet another echo of their lives, obligation overshadowing authenticity. I'm going to pause here and say this is marked as chapter 2, so I'm assuming some setup has been done
Mm.
with these characters beforehand. What are your thoughts so far?
So I love the opening line. It it's filled with interiority. It's engaging. It has a comma in it that it doesn't need. It doesn't need a comma after words. But yeah, I really like that first line
Mm,
because it's not only so I talk a lot in the writers room about motivation, character motivation, character motivation. Get Character motivation is where you connect the reader to the character. If I understand that character, if I understand at least what's motivating them, what's driving them, I'm more than likely going to connect to it and be a part for that ride. So, Victor loathed his world, a maze of hollow smiles and honed words that dripped like honey but held a venomous edge. Like that paints such a picture of a world that is just hypocritical and two-faced and shallow and like that's an interesting dichotomy to fall into. So I really like that.
mm. I thought that the if the library has been previously defined in chapter 1, then I'm fine with this setup. If the
Hmm.
library has not been defined, I would like a little bit more understanding of the physical space. Because right now I've got Victor sitting in a library, looking up from his phone to Christoph, who is his father. I get that. But I don't know what Christoph looks like. I've got no kind of spatial idea.
Right.
So
But
that's
yeah,
my one thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
hopefully since this is the second one. The
Yeah.
only critique that I would do on this is there's a lot of choppiness to the sentences. And some, for the most part, it's
Mm.
fine. But there's a few that are just, in my opinion, a little bit over the line. So like the first one, we get the M dash to separate that. That's great. The second one doesn't have it. The third one doesn't have it. But then we get to line 6 and we have that irresolute
Yeah.
chopped in there, and it hurts the pacing of it.
Yeah.
And then we get down to 9, we have the M dash splice, and that one again works. So there was just something about the irresolute that kind of it didn't feel like it had the
Well,
same
it
cadence.
doesn't tell you anything new because
Right.
hovering already implies irresolution.
Yeah. So if this becomes a pattern where this writer is using a lot of those parentheticals in the middle of sentences, it might just make sure that the pacing there's a poetic cadence to prose,
Yeah.
and to me it's very very important to keep that poetic cadence, and that line 6, that's a speed bump in the middle of it. It doesn't
Yeah.
feel right, and this is very subjective. I mean, that's the thing about poetic cadence in them, is very very subjective, but that's my
I,
only
I
my
once
only
had a
concern.
I once had a critiquer explain it as backseat writing, and I was like, yeah, yeah. Sometimes people do backseat write, and
Yeah.
I don't want us to do that. But I do agree with you that that irresolute feels like it's not really offering me anything, and the double comma especially makes me stumble over it because it's a
Mhm.
pause.
Right. And there's nowhere else that does that. So that's why,
Yeah,
and that's what I'm talking about that beat, that
yeah,
poetic cadence.
mm,
The two pauses right in a row just kind of hurt that
yeah.
momentum going forward that the rest of these paragraphs have.
All
Now,
right.
well, let's chase that rabbit for just a second, or at least I want to
All
chase
right.
that rabbit for just a second. If something has a punch, if like irresolute was something that really slapped the reader in the face, breaking that cadence for this one word, with the double pause really close together works really well because you're making it stand out with this, this thing is very important. But as you said, it doesn't really add anything new. There's nothing slapping me in the face with it. It's just an extra word. And
Mm.
so the breaking of the cadence to give me a word that is super important but isn't actually super important is what hurts it.
Yeah, especially because hovering is already giving the irresolution.
Hmm.
Yeah. Ah, Victor's first impulse was to decline politely, but his choices were to dine alone or risk an encounter with Adele, the ambassador, and his mother. Few experiences rivaled the agony of dining with her. Very well, he rose. Do you have a place in mind? We're meeting an old friend at Sovereign. A setup then. Typical. At least the venue was respectable. Okay. So that's interesting. We've in this first scene, we've had a introduction of Victor's parents. Apparently, both of them are alive, and one of them, his mother is the ambassador, and his father is presumably the ambassador's husband. One assumes. Um,
So, oh, go ahead.
if I were to make a guess, and this is just a pure guess, but I would say that Christoph probably isn't American. Um, and that his mother is the ambassador from a country to America.
Okay.
The words don't quite sound American. Things
Yeah.
like
I mean,
university.
I was thinking it might be more fantasy based, but it could be set in our world. I
It's
hadn't even passed
Washington,
judgment on that.
returning him from
Oh,
Washington.
yes, I see that now.
And
I
university, typically when I speak to Americans, they call it college. Very rarely call it university.
don't know if I have a preference. I kind of feel
Um,
like I hear both, but yeah. Um, actually, I have two things to say down on
yeah,
14. So all the other M dashes were fine. The one on 14 I think is egregious. I don't think it does much. But even though the ambassador and his mother is grammatically correct, I think there's enough ambiguity in it that I would not use that. Because I think there's enough ambiguity to go for the reader to go, oh, there's two people. The ambassador is one
yeah.
person and his mother is another person.
What you probably want to do is flip it and say his mother, the ambassador.
Yes, exactly. Um, so that's why I wouldn't write it this way. And you know, I talk about this almost every night too in the writer's room. It's just my whole goal as I'm writing is to eliminate ambiguity. We actually went into this kind of at a deep dive last night where I said, because we were talking about how no reader will ever see exactly what you want them to see. You know, that the whole thing is subjective. Your words are gonna affect everyone differently. So the reason why I'm so cognizant of ambiguity is because the ambiguity is where the biggest variance is going to happen. So if I need my reader to feel something, or if I need them to think something, or if I need them to notice something, or if I need them to take a piece of emotion with them to the next scene, that ambiguity is going to hurt me if they don't see what I want them to see, feel what I want them to feel, whatever. And
Mm,
so everything that I do, every line is always about, is there any ambiguity in this line? Is there any way readers could take this wrong? And that is a different mindset than this reads fine to me, because that's what most writers do. They're like, well, it reads fine to me. Like, yeah, but you're not the reader. And so I've just trained myself to really look for those moments of ambiguity because everyone that I can remove means that I have more of a chance of more readers seeing exactly what I need them to see, feeling what I need them to feel so that the story has the most impact. And
yeah.
that is what this does. There is some ambiguity there that some readers are going to see that as two people. And I don't
Yeah,
want
because
them
I,
to.
I almost saw it as two people. Then I was like, no, wait, his mother. There's one person here.
I
It's the
did the
same.
same thing. I was like,
But
okay, they're meeting two people. And then I was like,
yeah,
but it's not written the way
it's
it's
not
written.
it's
I
not
think it's
written
one
for
person.
two people. And that,
Right,
yeah.
exactly.
So I did
But
exactly
it
the same thing.
it made me have to stop my mind movie
Yeah.
and kind of juggle that thing. And there's no reason for it. Like
Mm,
and his mother, comma, the ambassador. Literally no reason not to do it that way. It doesn't one isn't it's not like the ambassador and his mother is like, but look at the payoff for that. No,
yeah.
there's literally none.
There's no payoff. Yeah.
Right.
You're just giving
So,
information. Information
mhm,
that's important for the reader to understand. But
right.
I also do like I love the interiority we're getting. Few experiences rivaled the agony of dining with her. That tells
Yep.
you a lot about their relationship right
Yep.
there.
Yep. And that's that interiority that's found in narration. So we
Yeah.
talk about all the 12 different layers of interiority, and that is one of them using narration. And that's pretty much all this writer has done, which is
Yeah.
fine. It's fantastic. it is a it is a deeper form of interiority than most people
Yeah.
get. So this has been really good with stuff like that.
Yeah.
That opening line that I love so much. It's just dripping with that interiority through narration.
Yeah. Shadows danced in the restaurant's soft glow, bouncing off polished brass and dark wood, the ambience designed to evoke trust and discretion. The evening proceeded exactly as Victor had anticipated. Plump and jovial, Professor Roskopf embodied the charm of provincial Bavaria. His wife played the perfect amiable hostess, and Christoph, well, Christoph was Christoph. He laughed at his own jokes while everyone smiled politely and fumbled for their memories he and Victor never shared. And fumbled for memories he and Victor never shared.
Is Christoph?
I was
We've been talking
right.
about this.
Bavaria's in Germany.
Yeah. Is is Christoph the father?
Yes,
We've
Christoph's the
we've been talking.
father, Victor's the POV.
Okay. Um. So I might take advantage of 24 with a, and Christoph, well, his father was Christoph or
Yeah,
something like that to just, or his Christoph was his father or whatever. Um, or even, and his father, well, Christoph was Christoph. I think I might even like that the best, where we throw his father. But this is chapter two, so this is a part of that head book where the author 100% knows what every character is, but doing these little things as very organic reminders to the reader doesn't hurt the story to say, and his father, well, Christoph was Christoph.
yeah,
It just it just taps that nail that, oh right, Christoph is his father, Christoph is his father,
yeah,
because we haven't learned the story as well as the writer knows it at this point. The only
yeah,
other thing is that is such a great line. I might pop it out and have it be, well, Christoph was Christoph, and then new paragraph, he laughed at his own jokes. Even though, yes, it goes together, there's nothing grammatically
yeah,
wrong on this, but Christoph was Christoph is such a powerful punch. Um, Having it be its own standalone paragraph would not hurt it.
yeah.
And the only other thing I would advise is I would put a tilde asterisk tilde on 19. There's no reason not to use the manuscript code for scene break.
Yeah. I'm gonna come back to that because I have one other comment to make.
Okay.
The colon is not incorrectly used here, but I don't think there's enough payoff for the colon to exist here. And I'll tell you why. To me, a colon jars me out of narrative prose. Now, I'm not saying you should never use colons. I've used colons.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like a colon in narration needs to have a very specific payoff.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, if you read that line, shadows danced in the restaurant's soft glow, bouncing off polished brass and dark wood, comma, the ambience designed to evoke trust and discretion. M dash, the ambience designed to evoke trust and discretion. Hell, period, new sentence, the ambience designed to evoke trust and discretion. They all work, and none of them create the expectation in the reader's head that they're about to get a list.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the danger with colons, is because we see them so often in non-fiction writing, where they precede a bullet point list. It is a jarring thing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I generally say be cautious with your colons. Make sure they have payoff.
I'm not sure
Like
I've
I say,
ever used a
grammatically, I
colon.
think this is correct. I just
Yeah.
don't think there's payoff for it.
Well, the funny thing is, grammatically, the semicolons are correct in the next sentence. I
Yeah,
just don't think they're needed because, again, prose is not about being grammatically correct. Prose, the first word of creative writing is creative. It's about not losing the reader. It's about not giving them more than they need to think about other than the story and everything like that. And while grammatically, yes, if you have a sentence that has commas elsewhere and you're dividing up these phrases, you put semicolons, it doesn't actually change anything for a reader if you were to do provincial Bavaria, comma, his wife played the perfect ambient or amiable host, comma, and Christopher M
Yeah.
dash.
So a grammar freak would tell you, you're comma splicing and blah, 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 and Word will
Yep.
complain and all the rest of it. But you can ignore all of those things and still write it that way, as long as you don't comma splice your entire manuscript. That's the only thing.
Yeah. Yeah. For most readers, so this is obviously somebody who at least understands the rules.
Yeah.
But again, for me, it's about the reader, and most readers don't. Most readers do not know that this is the correct way to use colons and semicolons. They just don't have that information. And so when they hit a
Mhm.
semicolon and they don't know the rules, where their brain goes is, what do I do with this piece of punctuation?
Yeah.
Am I supposed to do something special with it? It's supposed to be this, it's supposed to be that. And they don't think on it for as long as I just said. It's a blip,
Yeah.
but it's still a blip that I don't want them to have.
And and
So,
then and then you might hit a reader who's like a computer programmer who goes, "Oh, end of statement."
yeah, yeah. So I use semicolons. I don't think I've ever used a colon, but I use semicolons, but pretty much exclusively because I have two complete sentences that are so intimately related. I don't want a
Yeah.
period between them. I want a semicolon between them. But
Yeah, I
that's the only,
very rarely use either of them. That those two have to earn their
yeah,
place in the manuscript.
yeah. And I
Yeah.
don't follow the rule of this, which is, well, there's other commas in it. Matter of fact,
Yeah.
we literally just talked about this last week with somebody because someone in the room is very much into grammar. And I was like, look, you're grammatically correct, but here is the reason why I wouldn't do it this way. It doesn't benefit the reader. It only benefits the grammar nerd.
Yeah.
And
There aren't
I'm,
enough grammar nerds to worry about it.
yeah, that's kind of the thing. That's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah.
So grammatically, 100% correct, but you don't have to follow that as a
Yeah.
prose writer. Just throwing that out there.
All right. Let me continue. Victor toyed with the stem of his glass, his gaze fixed on the candle flame flickering between them. Each forced chuckle, each glance from Christoph seeking connection, only tightened the knot in Victor's chest. Your father means well, lad. Roskopf leaned closer, eased closer. If you say so, Herr Professor. Oh, do hush. You take too much after your mother, formal to the bone. I told you already, it's Conrad. Of course, my apologies, Conrad. Victor offered a polite nod. You know Adele? Well enough not to want to know her better. Wow, that's a thing to say to a man's son. Hey, a woman's son.
A
Holy
woman, son.
shit. Well enough not to want to know her better, Conrad declared. That woman was the end of your brother. She'll be the end of you too if she has her way.
And again, we're breaking and closing this. Scroll up just a little bit when he introduces the other person the guest that they were meeting.
Roskopf,
Okay,
Scott.
Professor Roscoe. All right. Again, I would have picked that up if I was just reading this, but since we're stopping and talking and all that, when it got down here to Roscoff, I was
Mm.
like, wait, is there another person here? I was assuming that it was the one, and I just didn't remember it because of the fact that we've been talking so much. But yeah, so that's all fine.
Yeah.
Now, 29, that's not a speech tag.
No.
So it gets a period at the end of that
Yeah.
if we
It's
want to be
actually the
grammatically
first
correct.
really incorrect piece of punctuation we've had.
There was the comma, but in the first line that's not needed.
Yeah, yeah, sure. Okay.
But yes,
Commas are always subjective, though.
I mean, yes and no.
In
Comma,
English.
yeah, commas are the misunderstood um, stepchild of grammar. But yeah, that should be a period because Raskoff eased closer is not a speech tag. It's a
Yeah.
just a sentence.
Roskopf. I will say the line on 31 is doing a lot of punctuating.
Yeah,
Um, I'm not going to comment on the colon again. I've said my piece. I'm just
yeah,
saying.
yeah. I will say that 30 and 31 are such powerful lines that those are huge missed opportunities for interiority.
Yeah. I feel like here on 33, I wanted Victor's interiority about how, especially because what is coming is like a brutal insult to his mother. Like in medieval times, duels have been fought over less. Yeah. Especially because like Roscoff has just kind of backhanded him through the face because it's like you take too much after your mother, plus your mother's a bitch.
Yeah.
And I still want to know, and here I also want to know, like,
Well,
what
the next line kind of gives it,
mother's
I think.
mother. Yeah, but that could be about his brother. Okay, so
Oh, it is. It is. It
yeah,
is. Because that's where we shifted to.
yeah. That's the thing. Like, I want to understand the feeling between him and his mother. Anyway, let's uh let's continue. Victor stiffened. The din of the restaurant dimmed as he with din of the restaurant dimmed in his ears for a moment, as though he'd been plunged under water. He forced his voice to stay even. You knew Maximilian? Bloody well. Your father and I were friends long before either of you was born. I don't recall meeting you. Victor shot Christoph a glance. My father might have introduced us if you'd given him half a chance. Victor let the comment pass. He returned his attention to his plate, slicing at food he had no intention of finishing. You mentioned my mother and my brother's demise. I'm sorry, lad, I didn't mean it that way. Just that she drove him up the wall, even on her best days. It struck harder than it should have. The words stirred in Victor all the suspicions he'd thought he'd long laid to rest. Did Adele force his brother's hand? He desperately wanted to believe she wouldn't go that far. Drama! Drama is what we have here on this page.
Yeah.
Okay, do you want to go first?
I just had a few notes. I mean, this writer has a pretty decent grasp of prose, grammar, sentence structure, paragraph structure. There's a couple missed opportunities for
Mm.
me. So like 41. I
I'd like to know how Roscoff says this, actually.
Right, exactly. That's the missed opportunity that I feel is there. We can give interiority on secondary characters by what they say and what they do. So if we had some physical reaction of him, does he have a mischievous twinkle in his eye? Is he, you know, there's all sorts of things you can get us to let us know how Roscoff feels about this moment,
Mm.
about, you know, all of this stuff. So I think that was a missed opportunity there. On 36, not a big deal. It was just a weird echo to me for the din and the dimmed.
Yeah,
Um,
there's a touch of an echo there.
you could use, you know, something else that meant subdued instead of dimmed, just because it was a weird echo to me. And I don't think you have to use dimmed there.
No, I don't know if it might be an intentional choice because there could be a rhythm there. The din of the restaurant dimmed in his ears for a moment as though it'd been plunged underwater. But then I
Yeah,
think you need a third almost echo.
maybe. It was just it didn't. If that was the author's intent, great. I'm
Mm.
just saying subjectively, it didn't work for me, and
Yeah.
that is very subjective. And then 43, I thought was the first piece of dialogue that to me is weak. This
Yes.
writer has put so much in his dialogue, so much subtext in his dialogue, and I think this one pulls a punch. And again, I'm taking liberties with the story, so I could be 100% completely wrong on this one, but it feels like if the dialogue was something closer to, and I wouldn't do this on the nose, but something closer to, are you implying my mother had something to do with my brother's demise? Because that's what
Mm.
it seems like when we get down. It struck Carter's hood, the word stirred Victor's
Yeah.
suspicions. It seems like that's where we're going. So, again, I wouldn't use those words exactly because they're too on the nose, but something to that effect of, wait, are you accusing my mother of killing my brother? And I
Yeah.
think that if that's in there, that's the weakest piece of dialogue so far that this writer has used to me.
Yeah.
Again, I'm taking liberties with the story, so I don't know how that fits for this author. but that's a missed opportunity if they wanted to take the story that direction.
Yeah. Well, it
And
does
then,
look like it's going there.
right, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So it feels like that could be something to be used. And then the last thing that I would say, obviously, there's a detachment between him and his parents because he calls them Christopher and Adele and all that.
Mm,
I still think you can come back to it every once in a while and not lose that coldness. So on 47, did his mother force his brother's hand?
yeah.
Again, we've already used Adele so much, so we have that echo of the name, but dropping that mother every once in a while, dropping that father every once in a while, just continues to help the reader learn the relationships of these characters. And just like I think up there with the Christopher was Christopher, there could be a father there. I do believe this is a good opportunity for his mother because it makes it
I
more
also think
personal
that
too.
makes the whole drama more intimate. I mean,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah. Not did this woman
yeah,
do something to my
but
brother? Did my mother do something to
yeah,
my brother? So yeah,
yeah,
that's the other reason why I think this is a good candidate for that because it does bring it really close to home.
yeah.
So and I get that the writer's probably thinking, no, 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 he never uses mother, father, whatever. And I'm like, okay, great, but sometimes
Sometimes
you,
for the sake of the reader, you need to.
yeah, and also just for drama.
Yeah, yeah, and for drama.
So yeah,
Okay. Engrossed in his thoughts, he did not at first hear Frau Roskopf speaking to him. He spent the whole night by your side. My dear Conrad refused to leave you, even when that horrible man tried to send him away. What was his name? Stefan, Christoph supplied. Yes, Stefan. He insisted you be transferred to Berlin, but you were such a broken thing. Doctors said you might not survive the trip. Against that man's objections, Conrad stayed the whole time until your father came. Herr Roskopf continued to surprise Victor. He'd never known of the man's involvement in the aftermath of the crash. That Stefan, the executor of his trust and mentor, had never mentioned it unsettled him all the more. Okay. Car
what do you have?
crash. Um, this felt a little forced. Everything up to now has felt very effortless.
Hmm.
But this dialogue felt forced.
It depends on chapter one.
Yeah.
If the car crash was set up really well in chapter one, then I'm going to come to this one. And when I hear he spent the whole night by your side, he refused to leave you, even when the horrible man tried to send you away, I'm going to understand that. With if in chapter one, the car crash was not set up, and this is my introduction to the car crash, this is
Mm.
rough.
Yeah.
So it really just depends on information we don't have.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to put a comment here and say if the reader already knows.
Because otherwise, what we've done, let's say we didn't set it up in chapter one. What we've done here to the reader is we're giving them a bunch of words that mean nothing, and they're having to hold them all as they continue reading and reading and reading until we finally get down to um, the car crash thingy. Yeah,
Yeah, because we only found out
57,
about the car crash
57.
in
So
line.
so from 50 to 57, you're forcing the reader to hold 100% of that information because none of it makes any sense. None of it has an impact. None of it means anything yet until we get down there.
Yeah.
So don't have the information we need. If in chapter one, the car crash is set up really, really well, and the reader's going to hit this line and know exactly they're not going to be thrown out of the story, then this works great.
Yeah.
But neither me or you had that information, so we're
So
feeling
this,
exactly
yeah,
what a reader would feel like if the information
yeah.
wasn't there.
So if I knew about the car crash, this would have been fine. But not knowing about the car crash, this was rough.
Hmm. Yeah,
It
very.
felt very forced because
Hmm.
I had to like basically go back and recontextualize the conversation
Hmm.
because now I know about the car crash.
Yeah.
Yeah. I never knew. Victor offered a quiet, grateful nod. You're making a fuss, Emma, Conrad chided. It was nothing, lad. We were all worried. All I could do was sit by your side. That's not nothing. Victor studied them, hoping for any spark of recognition. I don't remember any of it, only waking up and seeing Chris, my father, there. I remember it too, Christoph soured. I remember how disappointed you were to see me. Victor's gaze fixed on the flickering candle. Not disappointed in you, just surprised I was still there, still here. The words hung in the air, heavier than he intended. He hadn't meant to speak them. Not here, not now. But it was the truth. He had flown off the Autobahn expecting it to end, not to wake up in a hospital bed. Not a, not a stranger keeping vigil at his side, though Victor had never known. Christoph had come later, and Adele never cared. Conrad broke the silence first, his tone lower now, gentler. Used to talk in your sleep, back then in the hospital. Okay. I need to know more about this car accident. So, and this is now very dependent on chapter one again. Because if I
Hmm.
if I know more about how long ago the car accident is, depends on how I feel about this moment. Because without knowing how long ago the car moment is, this feels rough, and I'm not sure where the drama is coming from. But if the car accident was like, I don't know, a year ago, then this works.
Hmm. Yeah, somebody brought something last night where there was a car accident and massive injury and everything like that. And the way it was written, there's no emotion about it. And so I was thinking, okay, well, this obviously happened years ago, and here
Mm.
we are now. And then during the discussion, found out that it had just happened 3 months ago, and that's when they lost their legs. And I'm like, oh yeah, no, no, they're still they're still in anger, pity, why me, screw my life. Like 3 months ago, I just lost my legs. I don't act like this. Like this
And
is too,
losing your legs, holy.
yeah, yeah. And I'm like, 3 months, no, I'm gonna still be going through the stages of grief. That is that is a major thing. Couple of years from now, sure, I'm over it. I've gone through the stage of grief. This is my life. I get it.
How
I,
old is the person?
mid 20s, I think, somewhere around in there.
Yeah, no, definitely not. Because children can sometimes bounce through injuries like because they're not yet fully adjusted to having bodies,
Right,
So
right.
sometimes children can bounce into like things like that in with surprising ease. But
Yeah,
for an adult, no.
yeah, yeah. So I'm just saying it's the same thing here. Time, we still have to, if I have a character that's gone through trauma, I still have to think about the healing, the emotional
Yeah.
healing of that, depending on where the character starts in my story and how much of that is baggage, how much of it is, far enough removed that it's like whatever, and all of that. So that's very dependent on chapter one.
The other reason why this is feeling forced is like so I'm not understanding why. So these guys were good enough friends that they sat a vigil by this kid's bed, and this is the first time he's meeting them. Like it has to have been a short period since the accident. Because it just doesn't make sense otherwise. Like something is
Maybe.
not clicking for me here.
Yeah, I still think that could be fixed in chapter one. It just depends
Yeah.
on how that is.
Yeah,
Um,
but something feels there's some part of this puzzle that I don't currently understand. That's not making sense to me, and that's what's making it feel rough. It's not that the writing is rough; it's that I feel like I'm missing a critical piece of information, and
so the
that's
one piece
leaving me feeling disjointed.
So the one piece of interiority that I had a note on that's not in here that probably will fix your issue is this doesn't feel like he's meeting this guy for the first time. I don't feel any of that newness. It
Mm.
feels like so like and I wrote this note earlier and I just wanted to see if it was consistent. But when he introduces them and he actually has the line, I didn't realize that you knew my father back then. I didn't know you knew my mother and my brother. I wrote the note newness, and it
Mm.
just didn't feel like it was a new relationship from his side. So a little bit of that sprinkled in here, I think would help also because, we talk all the time about the further you go one direction, when you go the other direction has a payoff. So the further I feel like this is a brand new conversation with a person that I'm just meeting, the more impact it has on the, oh, wait, you know me? How do you know me and I don't know you?
Mm.
It's sort of like, and I've told this story before, but one of the weirdest, and it's happened a couple times, but the first time it happened was really weird. Somebody had come to class, and I go out to dinner with whoever wants to go out afterwards to talk about whatever. I don't get out much, so by going out to dinner with the people that come to my class once a month, it allows me to, people to have access to me.
Mm.
And this one guy had come. It was his first time. I just met him. He was really cool. I was enjoying talking to him, and he sat next to me at dinner, and we're chatting. And it's the get to know you phase. Like I don't know anything about
Yeah.
him. He seems cool. He's a geek. He's got a lot of same interests at me. But about 15 minutes into the conversation, I realized he's known me for years. He knows about my family. He knows about my history. He knows my interests. He knows my thoughts. He knows my beliefs. He knows because he's listened to the podcast and he's listened to, other interviews that I've done and he's read all my works. And that's a weird feeling to realize that you are just meeting someone for the first time who has known you for about 5 years, intimately known you for about 5 years, and it's a very one-sided knowledge. And so that in here, the more we go down that direction, the more impact it has when we find out that this guy knows him. And
Yeah.
it never goes that direction. It never goes to the newness. It never feels like I'm meeting this couple for the first time. Like
Yeah.
from the very beginning, if you go back, you don't have to, but if you go back up there and start reading it,
Mm.
it's introduced and he starts talking to the professor and his wife, it feels like he knew them. And because the reason why I wrote that note was, and the reason why I wanted to see, my original reason for writing that note was, why didn't father tell who we're meeting if I know these people? So instead of saying, oh, we're meeting some people, say, oh, we're meeting Bob and Sue, you know, and it's like, oh, yeah, I know those people. I like them. And so that's actually the reason why wrote the note. But then later found out he doesn't know these people, which was really weird, kind of separation for
Yeah.
me because it feels like he does at the beginning. And so I would recommend pushing it toward the I don't know these people. It's all new. Oh, look at me getting to know you in that first I'm just learning you business. And then when we find out, oh no, I sat by your bed while you were almost dead,
Mm.
then it actually has impact.
Yeah.
Um, so I have two more things about this, but what else you got?
Yeah. Um, so yeah, my primary thing is that like this here on 66, I wanted to know like what does he feel about all of this?
Hmm.
Like,
Yeah, you've done such a great job of putting that into narration. Victor's gaze flicked or fixed on the flickering candle doesn't give me anything outside
yeah.
of he's avoiding eye contact. But we don't know why. So I got two things. One is just minor.
Yeah.
71, I think this is another opportunity. So we have an Adele. If you just want to be generic with it, I'd probably do she never cared because the Adele doesn't do anything here as an echo. It's not
Mm.
like the Christopher being Christopher. Um, so I would either use she here, or if you want it to be a little more personal, and Adele, well, his mother never cared. And that's a harsh statement to say his mother never cared, as
Mm.
opposed to Adele never cared or she never cared. Depends on what you want to do. If you want to keep it generic,
The
I would
the
use
the
she.
the the his would be pointing back at Christoph though. You'd have to say Victor's mother never cared.
Yes, you are correct grammatically, but I don't think there's enough ambiguity there that a reader is going to mistake that.
Yeah.
Because through context, it obviously points back to Victor. But you are correct. Grammatically, it does point back to Christopher. But here's the big thing here. And again, this is very reliant on chapter one. There is a massive bombshell dropped in this, and at least this is the way I took it. So it it could I could be wrong and the writer isn't doing this, but the writer needs to know this is what you made me feel, because if you don't want me to feel this, you're going to want to fix this. But it's a huge, massive bombshell that just gets glossed over. And that is on 69, I was trying to commit suicide. Now, if he was just had lost control and he had made peace with it, and he's like, well, there's nothing I can do, and I'm not going to survive this crash, and I'm just going to make peace with that. That line could mean that. But what that line meant to me was he did that on purpose. He was trying to kill himself.
Hmm.
And when you combine that with I didn't expect to wake up. It's
Yeah.
I wasn't surprised. I wasn't disappointed in you. I was disappointed in me. I was disappointed that I was still here, and that's what happens on 67.
Mm.
So if the writer doesn't want me to feel like Victor was trying to commit suicide in that moment, then I think this needs to be adjusted. If the writer is saying, yes, you get it, he was trying to commit suicide, I would sit in this for a minute. I would, this is huge
Yeah.
and something that if it wasn't set up in chapter one, if we didn't walk out of chapter one knowing that Victor had tried to kill himself and blah blah blah, then this is where I would sit in that. I would make sure that I would add a paragraph or two of the motivation for him killing himself, blah blah blah. I think this is super important for character development and not
Mm.
something that I would just gloss over in a, oh yeah, no, I was trying to kill myself, but it's not important, so let's move on.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of the way it is here.
Yeah.
And that is a massive bombshell to drop and then
Not do anything with.
not do anything with it. But again, if the writer was like, no, 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 I didn't mean that at all,
Yeah.
then do
Then
understand
just
that is the way some readers are going to take it. Because I took it that way 100%.
I was also like, did he try and commit suicide? Did his brother try and commit suicide? Was he, like I was just like, What happened with the car crash?"
Especially because that was secondary. Because
Yeah.
then it made me go, wait a minute, did his brother commit suicide? And then my brain went, wait, did his mother hound his brother so bad that his brother committed suicide? And then I went, wait, was Victor's mother hounding him so bad that he also
Yeah.
followed his brother and killed himself because that it's just massive. Like that's just so much massive. And again, we're not playing with chapter one here. So if it is all set up, then this might work fine, but it really has to do with what's in that damn chapter one
Yeah.
on whether this is going to work or if it's just a missed opportunity.
Yeah. And that's just the if it's been set up in chapter one, don't worry about it, author. If it hasn't been, understand that we have questions.
Yeah.
And they're not the good kinds of
Or
questions, they're the confusing kinds of questions.
right. And this is or I'm not confused. Like Victor tried to kill himself. That's what I'm
Yeah.
walking out of here with. And so what the writer needs to understand is if that hurts, I talked earlier about eliminating that ambiguity so that the reader feels what I want them to feel. If the writer's listening to this going, no, 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 no. Victor didn't try to kill himself. You've completely missed that. And I didn't set it up in chapter one, or I did, but maybe I want to adjust this anyway because I don't want readers to think that Victor tried to kill himself. That's what this is the information that I use for my beta readers that I go, oh, let me tweak this line a little bit because it read fine to me, but I got a few people taking it wrong. And I don't
Yeah.
want that. I'm going to eliminate that ambiguity and just tweak it a little bit so that none of the readers are going down that path.
Yeah. You used to talk in your sleep, back then in the hospital. I don't know who says this.
It's also,
I think it's
it's
Conrad because Conrad broke the silence. Um, on line 72,
Yeah, but
but
it needs to be a
because
part of
it's
that
not in the
paragraph.
same paragraph,
Yeah.
so it's a very easy fix. Just do this.
Yeah,
Um,
just make it one paragraph.
yeah,
If it's Conrad that's doing it.
yeah.
Um, the problem that I have is the used.
You used to.
If Conrad only sat with you once
Yeah.
during that thing, saying you used to talk in your sleep is what a parent says about a child over years of experience. I think this should be you talked in your sleep,
Mm,
in the hospital. You don't even need back then. You know, when you were in the hospital or in the hospital. The used to back then, it makes it feel like a longer relationship than one moment of your life. So that's the problem that I had with that.
yeah.
And I think it works perfectly well with the you talked in your sleep, when you were in the hospital.
Yeah.
Because we're talking
I
about
think so
one
too.
moment of time, not
Yeah.
a lifetime. Like that. You used to wet your bed until you were like 9, because that's what that feels like a longer period of time.
Right, so continuing onwards. Victor only blinked, offering no reply. Not just mumbling, names, phrases, things that shouldn't make sense. Some of it sounded like German, but it wasn't. The nurses thought it was a fever dream, but you sounded, he faltered, searching for the word, like someone else entirely. Victor shivered. Even the memory of those first dreams turned his stomach. He took a sip of wine, buying himself time. The tannins' bitterness clanged. Clung, I think, clung to the roof of his mouth, cleansing away the dream memories and focusing him on what the professor said. Oh, Conrad's is not his father. Okay,
Uh-uh. No, no,
that's
that's why I said
yeah,
that's
yeah,
why I
yeah. But
used
the no, but the he sat with him for a long time in
still,
the
but it's
in the
only
hot.
one moment of his life,
Okay, fair
just the
enough. Yeah,
aftermath of the crash. I mean, it could have been a week, it could have been a month,
yeah,
whatever, but it's still only one moment of time.
yeah,
And this makes it feel like when I was raising you, boy,
yeah,
you
yeah,
used
yeah. I
to do
understand.
this.
I understand. Yeah. Um. It stuck with me, lad, Conrad continued. The way you were, it didn't sound like nightmares, more like you were somewhere else entirely. The comparison struck too close. Victor tensed, eyes narrowing a fraction. Conrad watched him closely. Still happens? Victor met the professor's gaze, studying his face for a telltale sign that this was more than guesswork. Conrad's expression was calm, even warm. No hint of manipulation, just concern. I'll tell you what I don't like. These people, like whatever these people think they know about Victor, Victor doesn't know them.
Right.
And he's just accepting them, asking what is incredibly personal question. Like it really feels, I don't know, like for me, at this point, I would have told people, thanks, I'm done with dinner. I will see you later. Cheers. And I would have walked out of that restaurant because you do not meet me and ask questions this personal. Like for
Yeah.
me.
Well, there's no newness. There's no there's no weirdness from the newness, but the
Yeah.
fact that they know him. But also the problem that I've had with this ever since we got onto this, as good as this writer was on interiority before this, I don't feel like I understand. There's no interiority for Victor. He's
Yeah.
blinking. He's not saying. He's, watching carefully. Well, not him. Conroy was watching carefully, but um, he's tensing. But there's no. So where my mind went, and again, it goes back to that chapter 1. If I know more about these dreams, if he portal fantasied or, something like that, lived another life, and I know that from chapter 1, this is probably enough because I already know all of that. I already know this, although I'd still like to know
Mm.
how he feels about someone else knowing this.
Yeah.
Um, but if that isn't in chapter 1, this is not enough. I don't think. We're
Yeah.
writing in limited. So you have put me inside of Victor's head. You have given me free access to everything he knows, everything he feels. This isn't omniscient. This is limited. And so when I'm in a limited head and you withhold information from me, I no longer trust you as a writer
Yeah.
because you're doing a POV that is supposed to give me this access and you're withholding it, which is almost like you're lying to me.
Yeah.
And that makes me antsy as a reader because it means that you're going to use the fact that I am with limited, everything is fact to the character, not fact to reality. And it means you're going to withhold information that's fact to reality to try and tell this story.
Yeah.
And that is never a good
Victor
thing for
knows
me.
about the dreams. Victor knows about the car accident. So should I.
Yes.
Because otherwise, none of this makes sense. Also, I need to understand why Victor is accepting this, these strangers prying at him like this.
Yeah.
Like, this does not feel like a conversation you have with a stranger,
Yeah.
especially not a stranger introduced to you by a father you don't trust
And don't like.
and don't like. Like, this is not this. It feels disjointed from the first page. The first page painted a picture for me. The second page, I was like, but this doesn't feel like it's connected to those emotions anymore.
Also, is Victor concerned that his father has set him up and his father has an agenda underneath this
Yeah,
of bringing him to this dinner? Because that's not in here either.
yeah, yeah.
Is his father just an ignorant, you know, participant, but has no idea what's actually happening between these two men? Or am I looking at my father going, you set this up and you're trying to get information. You have an agenda. So
Yeah.
there's just some things missing in this one that I feel like we don't have enough information because we missed chapter one. So we could be completely off base on all of this stuff. Everything we're saying here could be 100% wrong. But I think this is some good food for thought for the author to think about how this chapter is making people feel, at
Yeah.
least two people. So
Yeah.
something to think about on this.
And even if we do know everything about the car accident and all of that, all of the kind of facticity we need for this to make sense, I still want to know how Victor
Yes.
feels about Roscoff asking these questions. I still want to know how Victor feels about what his father is doing in setting this up.
Yeah. And I still want to know, I still want to feel like this one-sided, I just met you, but obviously you know more about me than I know about you. And that's a weird position to be in from
Yeah.
somebody who's been in that position.
Yeah.
Um, so that is something that would be an interiority piece that I would want to see.
I just want to say, though, however, that this is a beautiful demonstration of a very, very, very rarely used um, tag with the double M dash separating out the dialogue interruption, and it does look grammatically correct. I'm not sure if the he should be capitalized, but I actually don't think it should because of the whole M dash setup. So well done.
So, so if I was punctuating this, I would capitalize the he, I would lose the second M dash, and I would capitalize the like.
Yes, but what he's done here is actually correct. This
Oh, I know.
what this does is it says that the action comes in between something that is spoken
Right,
as one sentence.
right.
No,
But like I said,
no,
I would still punctuate it a little differently
yeah,
because he faltered searching for the word is a sentence, so I would capitalize that.
yeah,
Because if we said if let's imagine the line was the nurses thought it was a fever dream, but you sounded M dash close quote. Victor slammed his glass on the table, quote, we're not talking about this.
hmm,
The Victor, well, slamming, let's say we said slamming his glass on the table. Victor screamed, we're not talking about this. The slamming would be capitalized. It's a new sentence. So it's the exact same thing, even though it's the same character. So
100%. Like
technically,
I would have to look up the exact rule about it because the rule might be that you don't capitalize when it's the same space. There's complicated rules around this specific piece of
yeah.
punctuation, which is why I never use it because it is
Oh, I use this stuff all the
gloriously
time.
horrifying.
Yeah, I use this stuff all the time.
Not like this. I never interrupt a sentence like this.
Oh, I do. I do. But like I said, I would capitalize the he because he has interrupted himself with
Yeah.
action. And then when I start the dialogue again, it's a new sentence, even though it's a
Yeah, but that
fragmented
that is
sentence.
not what he's doing. That is not what the author's doing, though. The author is not interrupting the sentence with action. Yeah. What this structure is doing is the action happens at the same time as the dialogue.
No,
You also
I
use it
disagree.
if you say something like, um, "Hi, Drake, dash M dash blah blah blah. Marie strode across the room. How are you?" Technically, what you're doing with that dialogue is all of that is happening as Marie strides across the room. Same here. He faltered searching for the word is happening at the same time as this whole sentence is happening. Like that's what that does.
So I disagree with you because he faltered searching for words means he stopped talking. He's not talking during that. He's literally thinking. He stopped talking and he's like, what's the word that I'm looking for? So I disagree with you on that one because I do feel like this is a absolute break in this piece of dialogue.
I
A
hear you,
pause.
but technically, like that is what that
Yeah,
whole like
yeah,
structure there means.
yeah, yeah.
Um, like, and
So
that's why it's got very specific punctuation, and I never use it.
yeah,
Because it's like if you get it wrong, some grammar nerd will leave you a 1-star review because you got that one thing wrong. And
yeah,
even if you get it right, nobody else is going to get the point of writing it like that because they're not going to care.
right. Yeah. And again, that's why I punctuate it the way I punctuate it.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's just a side note.
So I think to sum all this up, for the most part, grammar, structure, craft of writing, everything is great. I think we saw everything. Once we got into the restaurant, we lost the scene. So
Mm,
we could definitely bring some more of the setting in to help
yeah.
flesh this out. But it really is, once this conversation gets started, depending on what happened in chapter one and what we actually walked away with chapter one, and whether this is
But
going to really work or
I'll tell you,
not.
even if we knew that chapter one was perfect,
Yeah,
you know,
there's still some things in here that are missing.
even if we knew that it was perfect, yeah, we would still be missing the interiority, critically missing the interiority, I would
Yes.
say.
And
And
the newness of meeting someone.
and the newness of meeting somebody who knows me, but I don't know them.
Yes.
And like it because Victor is just accepting these questions. He's not giving any anger. He's not giving any like, who is this guy to ask me questions like this? None of that is coming through. And because of that, it feels like this conversation is being had for the sake of the reader,
Hmm.
not in a way that makes sense within the context of the character. Like
Yes.
nothing is, as you know, Bob, in the traditional sense of like the direct sense, but the whole conversation feels like it's just an information delivery mechanism, not
Hmm.
a real thing that's happening.
Yeah. And the funny thing is that everything is just an information delivery system. The difference is we want to hide it and make it feel like it's not.
It
And that
must
one,
feel effortless.
yeah, like the beginning, like that
Yeah.
opening was so well done with character development, character interaction, and painted such a great picture for who these characters are, what their relationship is, and that's the missing piece between Victor and the professor. We never build what the relationship is. It's just
Yeah.
assumed it's there, and that's why in the beginning I thought they knew each other, which is why I made the note of why didn't Dad say we're meeting this professor since Victor obviously knows him. And then as it went on, I went, oh wait, Victor doesn't know him. And then that created my note being a completely different problem.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's exactly kind of my problem there. It's like it just did not feel the same.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I agree.
But
All
overall,
right.
like that the opening of that chapter, fantastic.
Yes.
Fantastic.
And the writer's really good.
Yeah. The writer's a solid writer. Good job.
I pretty much think these are all just missed opportunities
Yeah,
because I doubt many readers will be pulled out by the stuff that we were talking about. These are just, wow, if you put this in, look at how much harder this hits.
exactly. Exactly. So I honestly, I think you've got some missed opportunities, and and I think you do need to fix a little bit about that scene just to like really decide where you're going with that conversation,
Hmm.
and not kind of flirt in the middle. But other than that, great job. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
That's some good stuff.
I think that is a great note on which to end this episode. We will see you soon for another one.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning in. This is Marie Mullaney, your co host on this literary adventure. Our goal is to provide you with valuable insights and discussions on writing. If you believe in our mission, please like and subscribe our podcast. Sharing our episodes with your community not only helps us grow, but also contributes to a richer, more diverse conversation about storytelling. We appreciate your support. For a deeper understanding of the topics we've discussed, head over to Just in Time Worlds on YouTube. It is a treasure trove where fantasy meets history and science. Every Tuesday, you'll find new videos that delve into the intricacies of world building, drawing from our rich real world history. Whether you're a writer, a role player, or just a fantasy enthusiast, Just in Time Worlds offers unique insights that will enrich your perspective. Check it out and join the journey of crafting incredible worlds.
If you are ready to take your writing to the next level and work with a group of highly motivated, dedicated writers who are all working to not only improve their writing, but improve your writing, plus you get to work with me on a weekly basis, then I'll encourage you to check out writersroom.us. This is a website that I have created that I really wish I had 30 years ago. It's everything a writer needs to become a better writer. Not only do we do weekly critique sessions, both from other members as well as me, we have daily writing sessions, I do monthly classes, Q&As, we have activities, I do all sorts of learning exercises, such as I do a quarterly writing prompt contest, and just tons and tons and tons of things. So if you're ready to get serious about your writing and you want to actually finish that novel and have a chance of it being published, then I encourage you to head on over to the Writer's Room and join me there. And as a special promotion for listeners of Releasing Your Inner Dragon, I'll go one step more. If you would like to get 50% off for 3 months, reach out to me. There's a million ways you can do that. You can do it through starvingwriterstudio.com, drakeu.com, any of my social medias such as LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, X, whatever. Reach out to me, say that you would like to check out the Writer's Room for 50% off, and I will send you a link that will allow you to do just that. So hopefully you're ready to start getting serious about writing, and I'll see you in the Writer's Room.